Don't forget today.
What's today?
Election day, dummy.
Who you voted for?
Remind me again who's running. Swing vote?
It's an American classic.
Welcome to the party, bud.
It's very funny, and yet it's very serious. It has an interesting look at our politics.
We're poking fun at ourselves, let's face it, as a country.
I think it's one of the most fun things I've ever done.
And we never had to kind of wink to get the laugh. The laugh could come out of the scene.
It was a political junkie's dream.
All we have to do is win over one American mind.
Rolling camera. Ready and action.
Let me tell you something,
Here we go
baby.
again.
No. Voting doesn't count for a goddamn thing.
The inspiration for Swing Vote was the 2000 election, of course, which was quite a snafu.
If an entire election could come down to 500 votes in a tiny district in Florida, how far away are we from 500 to one person?
One man's vote is going to decide the presidency, and that actually is a great engine to drive a lot of foolish behavior.
Yeah, the casting process for Swing Vote was quite unique, really. It won at well over 100 characters. I think probably 116 or 17 by the time we get done with the day players.
It kind of was a little bit of an Altman-esque approach to casting because there was such a big ensemble. I always thought Kevin Costner would be great.
All right, nice and quiet. Great job, everybody. Shh.
That doesn't seem right.
He's only saying that because you said you didn't like abortion.
Well, that's not what I said, hon.
I thought it would be great to just take Kevin and kind of deconstruct his movie star persona in some ways.
I'm gonna pay these off, too, I swear. As soon as I find a new job. And the script went back and forth between great humor to great emotion. Ooh. We just had that correct amount of unpredictableness that makes for a fun movie to watch.
Last night, did you vote?
That's right. It's it's my civic duty, isn't it?
Kevin's instincts right off the bat were Kelsey for president and Dennis Hopper for an opponent.
I felt really strong about Kelsey. I just had a really strong feeling about him, and I think we all walked away having a strong feeling about him.
Do you?
Maybe not.
Kelsey Grammer, no, he was just absolutely amazing as a president, and he really got the character. He was written a little bit dim, but he brought something completely different to it.
People really like you, but they feel like you're one of them. I thought the script was great, and I really enjoyed the way it sort of lampooned the whole political process and paid equal shrift to Republican and Democrat candidates.
Clapping for 5 seconds, then we'll come down after the word profit.
No longer will multinational corporations be able to plunder our wilderness treasures in the name of profit.
Well, so I read through the script and I said to myself, well, I've never been asked to perform with an elephant before. The odds are I'll probably never be asked to perform with one again.
Oh, baby. You're so cute with that thing.
I'm taking this job.
Untie my shoe.
And then we needed to fill in. And it was really fun to say, okay, who does Kelsey Grammer go with?
And set. And action.
Hello, you must be Molly. I'm Mr. Fox. I work for the president.
And we thought Stanley Tucci is a perfect idea to come on in and to play his partner.
No, Marty, I was just thinking.
I'd like to get to know this Bud Johnson, personally. Okay, good. Maybe take him out for some ice cream.
I like characters that are so sort of intense. Their behavior becomes almost extreme in a way, and that can be either very scary or very funny.
Stanley has an improvised line in the movie that's just really great that wouldn't have happened without him. There's a line where he's interviewing Molly, the little girl, and the little girl is really sort of very smart, and he's like Karl Rove, basically.
I read about you in the paper. They said you'd do anything to win, even if it meant selling your mother's soul.
And that was the end of the scene, and then Stanley sort of looked away and looked back at her and said,
If you met my mother, you'd understand.
Those little moments really worked.
Thank you for coming.
And, Dennis Hopper is casting him as a Democrat was, I think, really amazing.
After you finish hugging Kevin, you can kind of bring him this way, just like step this way.
This way? Exactly. Okay.
You'll be good.
Do you have a card that tells me?
No.
And when I heard they wanted me to play the Democratic nominee for president, I thought, wow, that's a stretch.
Ooh. Hell of a party you got here, Mr. Greenleaf.
Yes, sir. We Democrats are one hell of a party.
We were thinking of a Joe Lieberman, so to speak, type. We didn't want the presidents to look the same in their physicality.
I saw those Ameritrade commercials with Dennis Hopper where I thought, wow, he looked so distinguished. He had the suit on and he looked so I said, he's it.
It's a long way from Blue Velvet and Easy Rider.
How are we going to do this, Art? Build a campaign around one man? I don't know how to do this.
I don't want to give up my day job of playing villains, though.
And that gets us to the next one.
A lot of the casting is about pairing people up. It's about saying, you got Dennis Hopper, who would be an interesting contrast to Dennis Hopper? So you go for Nathan Lane.
We are the sad, desperate Democrats. We're going to win him, Don. We're going to win this guy. We've got the issues on our side. There you go.
He's going to love me.
What's not to love?
Nathan is wonderful, and he's my campaign manager, and just very funny. Always comes up with something new, and he has a great expression on his face, and he's just very funny.
I don't want to call them scene stealers, but they're so crafted that they really can command the screen. It was a really fun thing to happen.
Sure, I got it.
Getting my glamour shots.
You are so glamorous, girl.
Have you ever seen those people and they're like...
The find for me in Swing Vote in terms of casting is the little young lady, Madeline Carroll, who plays the role of Molly. Very difficult scenes to play, a huge emotional range for any 11-year-old.
Madeline Carroll, who is really is the lead with Kevin, we found her through an open call.
I'm so blessed to even have auditioned for this. I was in New York, actually, and I just made the audition.
There was something in me that kept calling Madeline back, and she was not the likely choice.
And ultimately, this little girl just leaps off the screen. She is a real discovery, like we have not seen in a very long time.
I had to have somebody who could respond to direction, and that was the unknown, because she was an unknown quantity.
I read a lot of scripts, and when I read this one, it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
And I knew that I needed her to sort of be a little teary.
So powerful, and I cried.
And to try to explain to a kid that you can actually get a little tear, that you can have a tear of joy. But she ended up being amazing, and really, really amazing.
My dad wants to make this country a better place.
You know, it was a little home run with Madeline.
I really wanted to get the newscaster vibe, and I studied CNN all the time, just so I could just get the intonations, the way that they delivered the news. You are about to meet a registered independent who claims to be keeping an open mind.
I loved Paula Patton. The character had to be somebody from a small town who was really fresh and perky and kind of fresh-faced and not a big city girl. And she played it very organically and real.
I remember when we were kids, this was the only thing to do on the weekends.
Still is.
The single irregular ballot is holding up a final decision in this state. One American citizen will effectively choose the next president of the United States.
I think the fun part of casting Swing Vote are a lot of these additional people you get in just for a day or two to make it so authentic.
I was ecstatic that we were going to go out and be getting real political journalists and pundits for this, because it helped give the film that air of credibility.
I think the pundits were really necessary. They added a lot. We had Chris Matthews, Campbell Brown, and of course Ariana Huffington.
We need to change American politics, and tonight might be the night.
And Aaron Brown came in, and of course Bill Maher, you know, said Bud is dumb shit, you know. And I was really happy he would do that, because he's the right guy to say that.
Is anybody really listening to this guy? Jesus, wake up, America. Bud Johnson is a dumbass.
And that's, inside the comedy, that helps.
This is my life. It's been my life for over 20 years.
Kevin, who is a director, he has absolutely amazing instincts. When he's on set, he's an actor. He'll give you suggestions, but he comes as an actor.
When we do shoot this way, how much of that window's open?
It's going to be halfway. It's going to be halfway down, so you will see feet.
I know he gave me some very good notes, and sometimes you don't get those on the set, but he gave me some very good ideas.
And he really let me have my vision directorially. I mean, he really let me do my thing.
You're looking at this one, because I think you're just reading the letters to yourself.
The script was so descriptive. Because Kevin really loved the script, didn't want to change a word of it. It was easier for him to let go and let the director do what he felt was right and follow the vision.
I was sure that it was a good script, and he had co-written this with his friend. Jason and him, I felt that they must have had some kind of intellect because it was a very sharply written script. If I thought I had a thought, I would mention it to him, and I was glad every day that he was having to worry about the problems on a day-to-day level. I was really glad that Josh was directing this movie.
Go! New Mexico has been tremendous in terms of a backdrop for us.
We found a great town called Bulla, which was south of Albuquerque, which was this little town that had been abandoned, so we really could take it over.
It was important that we set the film someplace that felt like it was anywhere America, but there was something about the desert and this particular area that spoke to us, I think.
We've got scenery up in mountains that have to double Vermont. I've got absolute desert landscape. I needed tarmacs where this 747 could land.
Getting a 747 to pull up in a desert airport. First of all, 747s don't land in desert airports because there's no landing strips.
And we were able to actually own a third of the airport in Albuquerque, so though it looks like we're in the desert, we're actually just on a remote runway of the Albuquerque airport. That was a Greek freight plane. It was a wreck, and we digitally, through special effects, skinned it.
I needed the equivalent of an Oval Office hallway. We went up to Santa Fe and we, shot in the corridors of the governor's mansions up there.
The production design was beautiful, and I think that we have a great White House scene, and we have Air Force One looks amazing.
Welcome to Air Force One. Hi, Molly.
Thanks for having us, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Here we go!
But in the end, it is a satire, it is a comedy. We just took a few liberties.
The greatest reward is to feel like the movie is as close to what it could be and be proud of it.
It's a great way to sort of see and to get a glimpse into what goes on in our government and get a laugh out of it.
Action!
Every day working on it was rewarding because you felt like you were part of a movie that was going to be entertaining, make people laugh, maybe make them cry, but also was going to make them think.
But it's basically about America, and it's a really hard process because everybody has to pitch in. Everybody has to vote.
And actually, it encouraged us to believe in the political process based upon the fact that a man might actually see the light from time to time.